Thanks, everybody. Before we start, I just want to say one thing about Disney World, if Kristen's still here. My cat likes to go in box rides, and when I first got her, I started pulling her around the floor in a box, like so. And I decided I felt like I was at Disney World, and so we would sing, "It's a world of laughter, a world of cheer." So I do this around my house, pulling a cat in a box, singing "It's a Small World." So that's my Disney story, and you can see why I'm not a woman who rocks. So, okay. Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Well, I'm going to be talking today about Wanda Jackson and women who rock, and it's kind of timely for two reasons. One, I submitted this topic long before I found out that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is going to do an exhibit starting in May on women who rock. That's the title of the exhibit. And also because I'm looking like Keith Richards these days. We're going to start in 1952 with Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton. She released Hound Dog, and Kitty Wells, who was another big influence on Wanda Jackson, she released a song called Honky Tonk Angel, or It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels. Hank Thompson had written a song, The Wild Side of Life. He's the one who discovered Wanda Jackson, and It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels was a song that was written in response to that. Wanda started out in Oklahoma City. She was put on a tour with Elvis, and they hit it off and started dating, and Elvis convinced Wanda that she should move into the hillbilly rockabilly sound, which she did. And she started wearing fringe and singing rockabilly songs. She was known as the sweet woman with a nasty voice. And she sang lyrics like, I'll drink a quart of sake, smoke dynamite, chase it with tobacco, and then shoot out the lights. And so you can see that, it's pretty raucous for a young 18-year-old female in 1958, 57, 58 to be singing lyrics like that. She never made it huge in the United States, but the song Fujiyama Mama made her a star overseas, especially in Japan, of all places. In the early 60s, we started to have the girl bands, the girl singers, but the Shangri-Las and the Martha Reeves and the Vandellas were a little different. They had an edge to them. The first band to actually have women playing instruments was Goldie and the Gingerbreads. They were an American band, big in England. Another group was formed by the Quattro sisters in 1964, and the Pleasure Seekers. They did not make it big, but the Susie Quattro went on to become Leather Tuscadero. We'll see her again in a moment. Mostly in the 60s, we had girl singers again, but we had some great ones: Dusty Springfield, Aretha Franklin, Bobby Gentry. And Karen Carpenter made a debut on drums in 1967 at a college expo with her brother Richard. Of course, she went on to great fame otherwise. 67 also saw the birth of, or the introduction of, Janis Joplin and Grace Slick. They had been around for a while, but they were fronting bands. We had Mo Tucker playing drums in the Velvet Underground. So different edge, things were changing, but we really didn't have anything in the way of women rock bands. Fanny was formed in the late 1969, early 70s, but they never really received any acclaim. Patti Smith sort of ushered in the era of alt music and opened the door for people like Chrissie Hynde to actually sport a guitar on stage. We had the Talking Heads with a female bass player, and Candy Slice. So Saturday Night Live picked up on the trend of women who rock. 1978, a group of women came together called the Go-Go's, and they were at first just having fun. 1980, they decided they wanted to be serious, so they solidified their lineup with the final five that we have now, and got a recording contract with IRS Records. The fall of 1981, they released Beauty and the Beat, and they're the first female band to write their own songs, play their instruments, and have a #1 album. That feat has not been replicated yet. Beauty and the Beat hit #1 in March of 82, and it stayed at #1 for 6 weeks. No other band, female band, has done that ever. Not who write their own songs and play their instruments. The Bangles had a shot at it, but they had some hit singles, but not a hit album, not in the sense of the Go-Go's. Madonna and Cyndi Lauper sort of changed the trend back to girl singers. And Madonna, of course, changed the face of music, not so much as a rocker, but as a pop singer, and just a status, cult status. The early 90s saw the emergence of the Riot Grrrl movement. So you had bands like Bikini Kill and L7, Hole with Courtney Love. There was a Japanese band, Shonen Knife, who sort of emulated the Go-Go's. In this era, we don't have girl rock bands. We have women who rock, and women who play instruments, but nothing like was envisioned or that could have come out really of the success of the Go-Go's. Interestingly enough, when I was looking for some of the current women, it's really hard to find from the beginning to today a picture of women artists holding an instrument in a publicity photo. You can find them on stage, but they don't hold their instruments otherwise. We've kind of come full circle with Wanda Jackson now. She just released a new album in January, produced by Jack White, singing an Amy Winehouse song, among other things. And the Go-Go's are going on a major tour this year. Lots of cities, we hear they're possibly going to record some new songs, and for some reason, the Women Who Rock exhibit doesn't include the Go-Go's. So, go figure. Can you believe that? Thanks a lot. And